Okay. Hello, everybody. This is Leonard Johnson again with the Run the Hammer podcast and third and final session tonight. We got the great Quin McCollum from Marlboro County High School, and just a couple of notes there. Over 700 of you have been coming to look at the broadcast and everything, and I really appreciate that. It's actually for your education to find out what schools of different sizes and stuff are doing around the state, how they're surviving, how they're flourishing, or how they are just doing what they do. And I hope what you're seeing is that each program is a little bit different. They have to do a little bit different things to survive, and again, you get to meet these coaches and see how they're dealing with the program. And of course, you can always ask questions to them, and I'll gladly ask them to respond to those questions. So let's get rolling. Tonight we got the great Quin McCollum from Marlboro County High School, and God, we've known this guy here for a couple of minutes. Seeing him rise as a great coach, but he's a better person than a coach, and that will tell you a lot. And to see basically how when things go bad, just keep holding the faith. It will always come back around, and maybe he'll tell that story. I don't know, but I'll leave it up to him to tell that story. So, welcome, Quinn. Good to have. Let me say, it's my honor for you to be on the podcast tonight.
Well, hey, thank you, Coach Leonard. I greatly appreciate this opportunity. Thank you for allowing me to come on, especially from a living legend like yourself, man. One that's accomplished and has a rich and storied tradition behind him. So I greatly appreciate it. And thanks for what you do for high school football here in the state of South Carolina, especially encouraging young coaches like myself and mentoring and offering, some genuine guiding advice, man. So that says a lot about you as a person. I know when I first met you years ago, you offered a hand about making sure I did the little things and paid attention to detail, and also learned a little bit more about the hammer. So I greatly appreciate it.
Well, that's good, man. And you have accomplished some things over the years, but I'm gonna let you tell your story, because most of the time people tell their story a little bit better than you tell the truth. I have a tendency to embellish or admit. So, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself? Who this Quin McCollum is?
Quin McCollum is a native of the big metropolis of Clio, South Carolina, located on Highway 9 in between Bennettsville and Dillon. A graduate of Marlboro County High School, graduate of University of South Carolina for my undergrad, BA, graduate of Francis Marion for the first master's, and a graduate of USC for the second master's in Ed Admin. I have one brother, Marcus, who's coaching now at Keenan in Columbia. I have a daughter, she's 16, she stays in Columbia. That's about it, man. I played for Reed Sharpia at Marlboro the first 2 years of Marlboro, graduated the first graduating class of Marlboro. Got my coaching start in Marlboro. I started out as a volunteer, man, believe it or not. And I tell people all the time, if you want to get into coaching, that is the very best way to get in. Start as a volunteer, understand the little things like going to get ice and water, going to paint, going to do laundry, staying after. That's some of the things that, people don't think about. Those are the ancillary parts of coaching, but then start understanding schemes, concepts, and go in the meeting room with a notebook and don't say a word. Just take notes and follow up on schemes, and try to learn and ask right questions. So that's pretty much it for Quin McCollum. I've had a really interesting journey. I've become a journeyman of sorts. I counted it up for our parent meeting a while back, and I've been to 10 schools. I've been to Marlboro twice. So that's about it. I had notable stops at my first major stop was at Carver's Bay under Coach James Nate Thompson. I was his defense coordinator, strength guy, and a whole host of whatever he wanted me to do. But that's where I got my big break as being a defense coordinator. We went to the state championship. We had a couple of playoff appearances, but that was one of the very first stops that kind of like gave me an opportunity to show my growth and progression. Another notable stop not long after that, I had the opportunity to be the athletic director at McBee High School. That was pretty good, but that was only 1 year, and then I had an opportunity after that to go to Spring Valley in Columbia, where Miles Aldridge, who was one of my position coaches in college, I had a chance to work with him. He worked D1 football in the NFL, and I learned a whole ton from him. The next notable stop was at Kenan in Columbia, where I was took them to a state championship, and they've never been before. Most people consider Kenan, inner city school, basketball school, but it was a good situation for me. There have been some more notable people in my life in my coaching life that have been, quite influential. Of course, there's Dean Boyd, there's Reed Sharpia, there's Darryl Page, there's Marty McIntyre. Man, the list could go on and on, but I'm just thankful for the opportunities. And, I got the opportunity to come back home 3 years ago, came back as an assistant and defense coordinator, and, just been trying to do my part ever since.
When you we first met, I think you were at Carver's Bay.
Yes, sir.
If I remember correctly, and I think the first time I met you, we were about to practice. Yeah, because I've known Nate for a couple of years, and y'all were trying to run this game by me, but and I looked at you like you lost your mind.
And you did.
But we've sort of built a relationship over the years, your ups and downs and everything. How important it is, as young guys call me and I talk to them, and the message doesn't change. It's the same message and everything. But how important it is just to be patient and to wait your time. How important is that?
That is one of the most important lessons that you have to learn as a young coach. It takes a certain amount of humility to accept that, you may have all the bright ideas, you may have all the tools, and you may be on the come up real quick, but you have to understand that, it's a game where you have to pay your dues. And I think a lot of people have forgotten that now. For instance, I pick at some of our new coaches right now because, we have a guy to cut our practice field, but we have artificial turf. You don't have to paint the game field now because all we have to do is get the rec department to strike the practice field. So that goes into it. And then just learning how to, accept the things. You may have a bright idea, but don't think it hadn't been covered already with a previous moment.
Mhm.
I tell, the young guys all the time, I was like, yeah, I'm the geriatric guy now, but I'm telling you the stuff that was told to me so that you'll be a better person, a better coach, a better teacher, and just better overall.
Mhm. Yeah, and are they listening, or is everybody just so full of themselves that they going to go on anyway? I
Well,
got this off. I got this play off of Madden, and I studied Madden all these years, and now I'm ready. I'm ready to be an offensive coordinator.
Coach, I couldn't agree with you more, but it just depends on the young man or the young lady. You have to take it and use it for what it's worth for you. Prime example, my brother who coached under me at Kenan, You know, he really, when he first came in, he was not about, you know, pomp and circumstance. He wanted to jump in and do, you know, the little things so he could really be, you know, be respected in the coaching game. And he did those things. You know,
Hmm.
like I said, I use myself as an example, coach. When I first started on the Coach Sharp year, I was going to get water. I didn't care. I was picking up equipment. I that didn't matter to me. I just wanted to be on the team. I wanted to be a part of the team. I wanted to do the little things. Sometimes people nowadays are self-serving and they don't understand that it is a process. You have to pay your dues in this business in order for people to know who you are and respect you as a coach.
Hmm. Yeah, you got to do what you have to do. I remember my first year at a particular school, and I walked through the locker room, and the locker room was a mess. And the floors were messed up, nobody taking care of them, and the bathroom was filthy. So I went to the custodian and said, "Hey, can you take care of that? You know, we got the kids coming up in here next couple of days. Well, we won't get to that and until Monday." I said, "Okay." So I said, you know, and it was an automatic thing. I said, "Okay, why don't you? I tell you what you do. Give me 2 buckets and a mop. Whatever you use to clean the floor, you put it right up there in front of the locker room, and I'll take care of it." And and that's what you had to do. Whatever you
Yes,
had
sir.
to do, you know. And I tell them all the time, if you're not willing to scrub toilets, then something's wrong with you, because
Yes, sir.
you got to learn how to humble yourself, you know, to
Yes,
do
sir.
whatever is necessary. And I just don't see it a lot, you know,
Yes,
now.
sir.
Yeah. Now you mentioned your family, other your brother, and you got a daughter that's 16, 17, you said?
Yes, sir. Yeah, she's 16.
Yeah.
She attends school in the Midlands. She is a fan of sports, but she's not a big fan of football all the time.
Hmm.
So, but she, we have a difference on where she should be playing and how she should be playing. But you know, I guess that's with anybody that has a child. But yeah, that's it, coach.
Yeah. And you know, how's that? You know, she lives in one city, you live in another city. Of course, there's close contact and everything.
Yes. Well, she when she can, and when I can, especially during the season, my parents will bring her in. I have a cousin who's like a sister to me. She'll bring her in, and you know, I have a great working relationship with her mom, doing some co-parenting. So
Hmm.
that's that. But she's, you know, she's seen the coaching from afar, and she understands, you know, hey, this is the time of year where my dad is going to be scarce. But she understands it. As a matter of fact, you know, now she's at the age where she really she appreciates it. For instance, I told her the story that I read about Mac Brown on ESPN one time about his daughter asking him, did he know anything about the music that his players listen to? Did he know anything about the clothes they were wearing, you know, the gear? And I told her that story as a point of personal reference for me. So now, you know, she tells me, hey, Dad, have you heard this? Are you aware of that? Dad, you know what the new drip is? And I'm like, oh, okay, I got it. So, you know, it's that kind of thing, you know. So it's an interesting process, man. So and that's another thing, getting back to what you were saying about coaches, period. I think you always have to be learning. I feel strongly about that, but even with my daughter, I'm always learning because, you know, she'll ask me, well, why are you asking the guys to get up at, you know, to be at school at 6:45 a.m. during the summer? You know, why are they all, you know, why instead of buying them all the same thing, why don't you just, you know, buy them the same thing? And what happened was, and I can share this with you because you're old school. I told our guys, I said, come to workouts with a white t-shirt, black shorts, black socks. That's it. And coach, one of the reasons I do that, you know yourself, it's about building brotherhood, it's building camaraderie, it's making sacrifices. But I don't want a mom or a dad or a family to run out and buy $100 outfit. You know
Hmm.
what I'm saying, coach? That to me, that makes no sense. Now, if we're gonna spend something from the school, we're gonna buy it, but I want them to earn it after the summer's over. So
Yeah.
when I walk up to them during the summer, when you know when when it comes in next week, hey, here's your shirt for the summer. Here's your pair of pants. You know, here's your workout pack. Here's your gear. They appreciate it. They appreciate it. So I'm sorry I got off topic right
Oh,
away,
no
Coach.
problem, man. Your
Yeah,
show.
yeah,
Your
yeah,
show.
yeah, 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 yeah.
All I'm here to do is support you and everything. Now, we went through your past and everything with all the schools that you've been to, and of course the game. I think you played Timberland for that state championship game while you were at Keenan, right?
Yes, sir. We
Yeah, and
did. We played Art Craig.
yeah, I was rooting for you, man, and boy, I heard it I heard when you didn't come through and everything. But how was that experience? Because you were a young coach, young team. What did you learn from that process?
Coach, I tell people all the time, this is the back end of that. In order to be a head coach, you got to take a chance.
Hmm.
And then you have to realize that with taking that chance, you have to have a lot of faith, a lot of confidence, and a lot of front loading in order to take advantage of opportunities that will present themselves. And I even tell them you have to prepare to be fired,
Hmm.
and that happens. But with that experience, man, it was phenomenal. At that point in time in my life, like you said, I was fresh out the gate. It's not like, the cupboard was bare at Keenan. It's just that they needed a little something extra to get over the hump. I was excited about the opportunity, and I had the opportunity, coach, of working for, like I said, a couple of guys that were state championship coaches. So I knew what it sounded like. I knew what it smelled like. I knew what it was supposed to look like. So I modeled everything I did after that by, just putting my little tweak on stuff.
Hmm.
And the first day I can remember when Marlboro consolidated, Coach Sharpie had visited every school in the district, and he came in with his sports coat on and his khakis and his blue shirt and his cowboy boots, and he pulled out his state championship ring and he set it on the desk, and he was like, "Has anybody in there ever had one of these?" And when he did that, I remembered that. It created a memory peg for me,
Hmm.
almost like, as they were saying, math and mnemonic, man. So when I went to Keenan, I had a state championship ring from Marlboro. I was part of the staff. I was special teams guy, a JV coach, and head water guy.
Hmm.
And I walked in and I said, "Guys, you've done a ton of these in basketball. How many of these do you have in football?" And I put it on the counter. And I said, "We got the tools. It's going to be a work in progress, but if you follow me and my way, I think we can get there."
Hmm.
And of course, there was some resistance early on because, coach, I have a few simple rules that they have to follow. Like during football season, there are no earrings on campus. I told you about the dress earlier. Black, white t-shirt, black shorts, black socks. I talked to them about conditioning after practice, how we're gonna do that. And then, coach, the biggest difference was my first year, my second year, first year, we came in the afternoons, and of course, typical stuff, heat advisories, thunderstorm warnings, all of that. And coach, we had a really good year, but going into year two, going into the summer, I was like, we're gonna eliminate all of those. Uh, so we started going at 6 a.m. And of course, there was an enormous kickback
Hmm.
from the coaching staff. It was like, "Coach, are you crazy?" And, some of them like, "Well, we're going to see what happens. You the guy." But, coach, it got to a point where the kids were beating us to the facility. Coach, we were asking them to show up at 6 a.m. We blow the whistle at 5:55 to get started. Coach, it got to a point where after practice, we were drawing straws.
Hmm.
Like, so, hey, you got it tomorrow morning at 5:30, so it worked out for us. That was truly in itself, man, a surreal experience. And coach, to this day, people always ask me, and they're like, "Well, what was the biggest thing for you?" And I said, "Man, I just allowed the kids to be themselves and have a good time." And I listened to them, but I reminded them that, hey, the 51% here, I trump everything, So, but just having a good time with them, teaching them, showing them the way. Again, coach, listening to what they listen to, but at the same time, introducing them to other kind of things and talking to them about what it takes to be a successful person. And I told them, I said, "Hey, man, you'll create memories here that will last a lifetime. You'll be able to call somebody, man, when you turn 45, and you might be able to talk trash about Coach McCollum." And
Hmm.
I said, you might even, invite me to your wedding, or you might even tell me about the birth of your first child, or I'm here to celebrate all, ups and downs with you. I'll be here with you forever. And coach, one of the most memorable things that happened, we did a talent night, and this is one of the best memories ever. When we did the talent night, I told them, I said, everybody's gonna participate. If not, I'm gonna up down you. So them being who they were, they said, okay, we got it. So they had some meeting, coach. I don't know if it was in the locker room. I don't know where it was at, but coach, when they had the meeting, they came back out and everybody just did one talent piece. What it was, they conducted a practice.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
coach,
that's okay.
yeah, I mean, and coach, when they conducted the practice, it was highlighting assistant coaches during the practice and their behaviors. And coach, I've never laughed so hard at football practice in my life. It was hilarious. But
Yeah.
that event, man, was phenomenal. Leading up to the game, like I explained to some people, we were playing Timberland, who has a rich historic tradition of football. We were
Quinn,
trying to get the. Oh, go ahead, coach.
could you hold that spot just for a second, okay?
Yes, sir.
Sorry about that, Quinn.
Oh,
yeah.
No problem, coach. No problem.
Okay.
No problem.
Now you were talking about the championship game.
Yeah, coach. Like I tell people all the time, we were playing a team, man, that had a rich and storied tradition. Art Craig and that their coaching staff and their players, I think at that time they had been, just kind of rolling through. And I had to explain to our guys, there's victory loves preparation. And I told them and I explained to them that year or even prior to the year of us going, you have to put in your dues and you have to pay your time. You have to basically pay your ties to football to make sure that things like that happen. But it taught me a lot that one particular defeat, man, because I keep telling them not everybody gets an opportunity to go. And when you get the opportunity, you have to make the most of it. But I explained to them, you actually were building a bridge to make sure that it happened again. And I felt really good about it going into the game. But sometimes, the stage is a little big and you have to take advantage of opportunities. And we just did not get into a good rhythm. And, it paid off for them. And hats off to Coach Craig and his staff at that time and the players that time.
Okay. Now now from that, how have you brought that experience that you had to now?
Coach, and I think you are a person that would really appreciate this. I'm always looking for tidbits and pieces to help motivate not only myself, but people around me, coaches, and especially the players. And when I was working at Carver's Bay at the time, Coach, working for a guy like Coach Thompson, man, it is incredible. I literally never thought that I would leave there. I thought I would stay there as long as he stayed, but opportunities presented themselves for me. But one of the things that I picked up while I was there, I actually went to the movies one night, and there's this movie called The Mechanic with the guy. What is his name? Jason Stratham. Yeah, he had he plays a character, that's participating in some unsavory business stuff. But he had a motto, and it was a Latin motto, and it basically meant victory loves preparation. And what I tried to do was that night, man, I wrote it on a napkin. And what I tried to do was I try to make sure that in the moment then I'm always thinking of a better way for us to get better. You know, even if it's during the game, I carry a pad, and if something hits me, I'll do it. But it helped me. That particular moment helped me transition and matriculate into becoming a head coach. But when I became a head coach and actually did it for real and started thinking of ways that I needed to improve and get better, and even in a sense of rebounding, you know, because Keenan and I, coaches did it.
Young, yeah.
Keenan and I split on, you know, not so good circumstances, and that's a story for another day. But it taught me like, hey, you got to get ready, always be ready for the next move. Um, and like I said, you know, leaving there, going to Brooklyn KC with Coach Sharp here, Coach Rusty Sharp and his dad, who I played for, Coach Reed Sharp here. It helped me rebound, and then I turned right around not even a year later and got the head job at Marion, where you were at. And you know, following you was real big. You know, it was major because you and I have two different styles. But you know, as I got ready to get a little bit better and get it where I felt like I wanted it to be, you know, it helped me move. It helped me move in a way that I thought was pretty good. But I think that's one of the things young coaches don't realize, that you have to be able to adapt, and you have to be able to make sure that things are going the way you want them to go. And if not, you have to talk to people about them and have
Hmm.
hard conversations.
Now, those kids that you have right now, of course, they are familiar with your success and everything. How are even though you've been there for a year or two, how are they adjusting to you as a head coach?
Well, coach, it's interesting that you say that. Like I said, and like you said, I've been there previously, you know, 3 years. And our student athletes, they, you know, kids aren't slow. They knew that I would bring a different style. They knew I'd have a different level of expectation. And at first it was, you know, it was a process because, you know, like I said, with the standard operating dress code that I have for workouts. So they knew that, and they were like, well, you know, last year, you know, they gave us this. And I was like, excuse me, coach. I was like, well, this year you'll earn it. And it took a little getting used to, but after we got through the growing pains, coach, it's been nothing but I'm not gonna say it's been a walk in the park, but it's been a good transition for us.
That's good. That is good. Now, what about your staff?
Oh man, that's a phenomenal question. What ended up happening with my staff was everybody that was there last year, with the exception of maybe three guys, they were returning.
Hmm.
And, you know, of course, there's going to be some transition with them, but everybody's excited. Everybody's familiar with, you know, the guy that I am, because they knew, well, hey, if Quinn was a loyal assistant, you know, I'm going to try to model that. And I try to make sure that I explain to them, especially the young guys, I've been where you've been. So, you know, if I ask you, hey, you have to stay after practice Monday and Wednesday, and this other guy stays on Tuesday and Thursday, I'm not asking you to do it because I'm just being you know, a tyrant. You know, that's part of the growing pains, and that's
Hmm.
part of the maturation process in the coaching game.
And
Uh,
those guys. So several of them left with the other coach, and
no, 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 no. Everybody is a holdover. I'll give
okay.
you a prime example of how, you know, just how optimistic our guys were. I have our head baseball coach. His name is Ryan Pierce. Pierce was our JV offense coordinator, and I had the opportunity, even me as an assistant. I the first 2 years I went to every JV game. You know, I went to every JV game. Even as the varsity defense coordinator, I went to help out. Now, I didn't take any jobs or anything, but if they needed somebody to go up in the booth or work the sideline with water, or, you know, help with equipment, or passing out of cloths, I went. But I
Mhm.
got an opportunity to watch him work live, and I was so impressed that, you know, once I made the transition, you know, I was like, hey coach, would you mind? And he was like, at first he was a little skeptical, but, you know, he went and he prayed about it, and he was like, hey coach, let's do it, let's roll the dice. And I'm very happy with him. The other young man, his name is and you're familiar with him, his name is Marquis Hamlin. He's a Lamar native.
Hmm.
And by the way, Pierce is a Scotland native. But Marquis played at Lamar, played at South Carolina State, played defensive back. And both of these guys have great working relationships with our student athletes. You know, they get in there, they talk to them, they have a good time with them, they laugh with them, they ask them how their days go. They build that relationship and rapport that makes it easier to coach. And you know, most kids sometimes they appreciate that. I'm big in our coaches meeting. I'll say this all the time. Please rock with the kids. Please rock with them. Even if you only ask them something as simple as, you know, how's school today? You know, tell them a funny joke, and it might be a dead dad joke that you tell them, but it's just about building relationships and rapport. So when you get ready to teach them, show them, and offer them feedback, it's not met with, you know, reluctance. They know that you have their best interest in mind.
Hmm. That's
Yeah,
good, man. And
yeah.
and so you got a full staff there now, and
Yes, sir. I picked up two old vets, well, three old veterans from the championship era. Dean Fullett came back as the O-line coach.
Dean
He
is back
normally
with you.
Dean is back. Dean
Okay.
came back as the O-line coach. Kevin Kaga came back.
Yeah.
He's not Kaga's not coaching. He's our strength and conditioning
Yeah.
guy for the entire athletic program. So I picked him up. Coach Murphy came back as a wide receiver and offensive assistant. So it's you know, we're trying to get back to the traditional Bulldog standard.
That's good. And how's the community responding to you?
Well, it's been nothing but love, man. You know, like I said, I'm from Clio originally, and I explain to the guys all the time that, you know, I want to be able to show my face at the local places. I want to make sure that I'm able to not have to run in there and, not have to deal with too much constructive criticism. But
Yeah.
they've embraced me, man, from the start. For instance, you know, like today when I attended church, my home church this morning, we had our homecoming celebration, and it was just great. You know, this weekend with our win, you know, of course, right now I probably could run for political office and and win, but you know that's the life of a coach. You know, when you win, you're everybody's hero. When you
Hmm.
lose, yeah, you might need to take into consideration some people gonna have some things to say.
Okay, that's great, man. And you had an administration change there at the
Oh yes, sir.
top.
Yes.
Yeah, and how's that working?
Man, from the top down, they've been nothing but supportive. Our superintendent, Mr. Andrews, he's been nothing. Donald Andrews has been nothing but supportive. You know, we had some facility concerns early on prior to me getting the job. We had some facility concerns. He's provided nothing but the top notch first class support about getting those problems corrected and rectified. My principal, Mr. Bill Deese, um, who's a former student athlete at Marlboro County himself, who was a part of the basketball state championship, the first ever basketball state championship we had at Marlboro. He's been nothing but supportive, man. Everybody from you name it, man. You know, community people, school officials, even the little kids in the neighborhood. You know, so it's been a great experience thus far.
And what about? I know it's early in the y'all 4 to 6 weeks in now. Four weeks in school.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
How's
sir.
it working out with the faculty and stuff? What kind of
It,
support are
man,
you getting?
everybody's all about it. They like the fact that you know, I do have some admin duties in the building, which was, you know, not surprising, but I'm very open and honest with them. I tell our teachers and you know TAs and administrators along with the custodians. I was like, our guys are gonna help you run the building. You know, if we see paper on the floor, we're gonna pick it up. If we need to help you police the classroom by just looking at somebody and you know maybe having a conversation with that kid afterwards, we're gonna try to do that. We want to be the model students, man. And I know it's not going to always work out like we wanted to, but we want to at least be the positive example. You
Hmm.
know, we want to make sure, for instance, you know, I see such great ideas from some of the guys on Facebook, like doing community service. So next week, our plan is to try to get out and open some car doors for some primary school kids, and do that kind of thing. And one day during the season, I just found out from one of our fans that the local community kitchen is run by one of our one of our fans and one of our alumni. So we're gonna get out there and try to volunteer one day during lunch, man. So I'm excited. I think the transition has been great. We're just looking to keep things going in a positive direction.
When let's talk more about your kids. Um, what expectations do they have?
That's a really, really good question. Um, I think they just wanted somebody to come in and tell them that they believed in them. I really do. And when it comes down to things like that, I told them, I was like, guys, I'll be with you here every day. And I explained to them, we hadn't been as successful as we normally are the past 3 years. But I told them, I said, guys, when I was here as a player, the very first year we were 2-9. And I explained to them the process of going from a 1A school, because I went to Clio High School. We were in 1A. And our region was made up of, everybody in the area that consolidated and MacB, and I think it might have been the other school might have been over in Bishopville. I think, I'm not sure, but that was it. And I said, guys, going from 1A to 4A was the ultimate transition. You're lining up against a team where there might be 25 guys. That was a big team in 1A, to where you go to 4A and the guys that were in your county, and now you make Marlboro County High School, and you look across and there are 70 guys on the other team. That in itself was could be a little intimidating. And one of the things that I reminded them of, like, that first year, it's not that we didn't compete, we just weren't able to physically perform at that level, because you think we played Northwestern, we played Conway, we played Richmond County. Man, you going from Clio to that's a big adjustment. But that off season, Coach Sharpie, man, he made sure we ran, he made sure we lifted, he sent his assistant coaches to bang on doors, the district provided transportation, and we were able to go 9-4. And I explained to our student athletes, our players, all the time, I said, guys, if we did it in a year, you guys can do the same thing. And I know you're better athletes, because back then, Coach, you would appreciate this. We're running, Reed Sharp here, we're running the I formation, and hey, we're running, the dive and the trap and off tackle and, some sweeps and, it may be 3-man pass route. And now, everybody's running gun. So I explained to them that that's what we're going to do. And I was like, I'm going to be here with you. And so far, so good. And then I told them, I was like, just have a little bit of faith in me, and I promise you I won't disappoint. So that's what we're doing right now.
10 years ago, did you see yourself in this position?
It was a wish. It really was a wish. Not 10 years ago. 10 years ago, Coach, no, not Coach. Coach, when I tell you it was a wish, of course, every kid wants to say that, hey, they had the opportunity to go back to their high school and coach. My thing was this, Coach. Hey, in 10 years, 10 years from now, I just want to be gainfully employed, still coaching somewhere, and hopefully on the verge of retirement, because, this game, it takes a lot out of you. And you know how it is. Sometimes you sacrifice a lot, but nah, Coach, I didn't see this. And even because I interviewed for the job the first time, and it was one of those situations where, Coach Collins got it, and I know Bobby personally. And at the time, I just my contract at Marion had not been renewed, and I was like, well, I got a couple of options of places I can go. It's just a matter of where I would want to go and feel comfortable, and it'd be the right fit. And I had a hard conversation with Coach Collins, and I was like, man, I don't know, this may not be the fit. And he's like, it's gonna be the best fit for you, man. He was like, you get to come home, you get a chance to be the defense coordinator. That's your skill set. You'll be working at this place. And it took a little bit of, talking to, but man, it ended up being a great decision for me, as far as he was concerned. And even on this go round with the job being posted this time, because I wasn't sure if I was going to make the cut this time, because, think about it. When people go through transition and culture change, somebody that was a part of the original culture, bye bye,
Hmm.
but I'm thankful for the opportunity. But coach, 10 years ago, no.
Now you had Keenan that that you didn't part on a friendly basis, and you came down to Marion and you spent some years there.
Mhm.
What did you learn through those two things right there? Through
Coach,
those two
sometimes
experiences?
those two totally different experiences, but you just have to make sure, coach, as the head guy, that sometimes the ball is not going to always bounce in your favor. Sometimes things happen for a reason, and you have to accept those reasons sometimes, whether you like them or not.
Mhm,
One of the things that I was really uh, excited about at Keenan was the way that we turned it around in such a or the way we changed the culture in such a drastic fashion, where the young men were, they were excited about trying to give football a try. They'd see you in the hallway, hey, coach, I'm coming out today, or I'm coming to weightlifting today, or I'm coming to conditioning. And I was really excited about it. But I also learned in dealing with the young men that sometimes you have to change. And I had to learn this at Marion. I had to learn that I couldn't come in being so rigid. I had to give a little bit. I did some things with the coaching staff at Marion, one of the things that we did in the off season to promote, the culture a little bit more, because I wasn't as successful as you were. If the guy made 3 workouts during the week, hey, fourth day we're gonna have a pizza party. So, coach, we did those kind of things. And not only did we do that, coach, Marion has a wrestling program that is out of this world.
mhm,
So, we couldn't get everybody to wrestle. So I went and talked to I think Coach Jordan, the soccer coach. Hey man, can I push some guys your way? And he was
mhm.
like, hey, sure, man, absolutely. And he worked with me on the workouts. He said, coach, before they come out, I told them they have to work out with you, and we did an executive workout with them where they just did enough to get tight. They stretched, they got enough to get tight, and we sent them on their way. But the lessons learned, man, you have to realize that sometimes it's not going to always go your way. Sometimes you may not understand the reasoning, but just I've always taken it, the universe is unfolding as it should, coach. You just go ahead and accept things for what they are, worry about the things that you control, and don't worry about the things you can't control.
A lot of people get angry at situations that happen in your life. I'm talking about the
Mm,
Clio,
yeah,
and I think the big thing to get from that is that things gonna happen, just like you said. Don't take it
yeah,
personal.
yeah.
You
And,
know,
and, and
yeah,
coach, the ironic part to that, of course you're going to be upset.
yeah.
Of course you're going to be disappointed, but I reveled in the fact that, for instance, I did all I could do. I knew going to sleep at night, I did everything I could. When I looked in the mirror every day, hey, I was satisfied with the person that I was.
Hmm.
I knew me and the staff, we did all we could do, and then I'll give you a prime example in the Marion thing. The very next year they go to the state championship.
Hmm.
And I was like, wow, so there was some solace in that. I wasn't the guy,
Yeah,
hats off to Coach State and his staff, but they went to state championships. So I felt like, hey, I helped do that. So that was
yeah.
awesome.
And I think if everybody just take a chill pill instead of throwing knives and axes and bombs and nuclear nuclear bombs at sometimes you are put in a place just to settle things down,
True that, true that, true that, true that.
to get things ready for the big things. And I like to call it the Moses experience.
Wow.
You get them all the way there, but knowing that you'll never touch over into the
True.
land with them. So
Great.
we just we just gotta chill back and just settle down.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about
You
that
know,
one, Coach.
and always know that there's a plan for you that you don't even. Worst thing to do is to be bitter. That's
True
the
that. True that.
you know
True
I've done that before, and it doesn't work in this thing.
that.
It does not work. Now, you you it's- you got this because I know you, and I'm trying to find the right way to ask the question.
Just ask, Coach.
Makes sense for the audience out there, so that you don't get in trouble. But what's your 5-year goal?
Coach, you know what? It's really interesting that you say that. Um, you and my daughter must talk. You must talk. You have got to talk. Coach, she called me. She literally called me right before you called, and she said, "Hey, the podcast tonight. We're good. We're good, right? We're gonna say all the right things. We're gonna smile. We're gonna shake dirty hands. We're gonna kiss ugly babies. You got it." I'm like, I was like, oh God. But she was like, so, Coach McCollum, where do you see yourself in 5 years? And um, this is what I'm going to say to that question. Hopefully, I can retire from Marlboro County, being one of the best coaches to ever coach there. I'm at the age where I need to start thinking about retirement. And sometimes you don't want to entertain those thoughts wholeheartedly, but Coach, to sit around and talk to some guys like yourself and Coach Thompson and Coach Page and Marty McIntyre and Coach, just a whole host of you guys that you're living that life, man. And I hope they emulate it, but I want to get me a state championship before I walk out the door. Haven't been there before as an assistant and doing it, or being a part of one, and going to another one with Coach T down at Carvers Bay, and then leading the team. I'd like to try to work towards that. That's a goal. One of the things that people don't think about is time is unforgiving. You could you keep thinking, hey, I got more of it, I got more of it, and you never do. All you can do is try to keep up with it. But I hope to be here, man, for the long haul. That's my plan. That may not always be God's plan, but I'm excited about being home. I'm excited about making a contribution to not only the program but the community I grew up in. And I want to be here. I want to be here, because I talk to our kids all the time about making sure they take care of the four things every day. Academics, being socially responsible, being unselfish, and having enthusiasm about what we do. And I tell them all the time, I was like, I may not be able to control anything anybody else anything anybody else does, but I can control what I do, and I can have some enthusiasm about it.
Have you had many kids in the past few years to go to school?
Yes, sir.
Huh?
Yes, sir. One of the things that I try to talk to our young men about, and I know you see it every year, is starting the recruiting process early. And when I say early, I'm not just talking about, seventh, eighth grade. I'm talking about when they officially get into high school. And I always tell them, I said, you're gonna have to burn about $50 one Saturday, and you're gonna have to be able to go to a camp where you don't just see your homeboys. You got to see the guys that you're going to be competing against. And I think it's a real reality, when you go out there and you see a guy that's playing the same position as you, and he may be larger than you, he may be faster than you, he may be quicker than you. And then the same guy, or there may be a different guy that may not have the skill set you have, but his technique may be impeccable.
Mhm.
But I think that's big. And then I explained to him, you have to set up your business email, and you have to get your huddle account going, and then you have to get your social media cleaned up. But yeah, I've had some success over the years, and helping and working in reverse. Like you said, I've been some places, but Coach Collins did a great job of marketing our guys this past few years, where we've had some guys go out. When I was at Marion, the stop before here, one of the major guys we had was a guy named Devontae Allen, who's at St. Andrews in Laurinburg, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's playing. We also had a couple other people, but another guy was named James Stanley Jr., who, and I think you remember James Stanley.
I do.
Coach, we got him into a JUCO. He
Mm-hmm.
played, and coach, then he ended up going to Hampton. And while I was at, we had a couple other guys there, but when I got to Keenan, there were a couple of guys there. Ken Gathers ended up going to South Carolina State. Tyson, after I left Tyson Gray, he went to South Carolina State. We had a few other people. Oh, Trey Boyd, who was at Marion.
Mm-hmm.
He ended up playing college ball. So there, coach, I don't ask me exactly who, and I probably shouldn't have said it, but there are a list of them. But coach, I'm more proud of, I'm just as proud of the guys that ended up just being employed and going to the military.
Yeah.
And coach, it was ironic. One guy in particular, coach, and when I say this, you might bust out laughing. There were three guys, Deleon Moody, I can't remember Bobby's last name, and
I
one
know
other
you're
guy.
talking.
They would hang out all the time. Coach, I
Yeah.
know you know them because they talk about you all the time. But coach, they said one of the things, and this is why I'm a big fan of football. It helps prepare our young men to be young men. They
Mm-hmm.
talked about going to basic training, and I'm not diluting basic training by any stretch of the imagination now, because I never went.
Mm-hmm.
But they talked about how when they were in basic training, how playing football helped them prepare themselves mentally and get ready physically for the demands. And he
Mm-hmm.
said one of their drill instructors, was telling them like, hey, you got to be X, Y, and Z to help your fellow basic training folks get ready for this, man. So he said, he took a leadership role and he was able to help some of the guys survive the process.
That's good, man. And
Yeah,
I know those three guys. I know Bobby, and I know the other kid. I can't
yeah,
think of the third kid name right now,
yeah,
but they all hung. They all hung together. Well,
yeah.
that's great, man. I'm so glad. Do you have any strategies going on in your school as far as getting more of the kids college
Uh,
ready?
Well, one of the things that we're going to implement, and we didn't get an opportunity to do it this off season, but one of the things we're going to implement is we're going to work with our JRTC instructor. One of the things we like to do with him is we want our kids to test. And when I say test, I want them to take the ASVAB. Once they take the ASVAB, they'll understand what taking a standardized test looks like. Also, we're working on building a relationship with our technical school to make sure that our student athletes understand that you don't just walk up. There's a process that you go to or go through in order to get into tech, along with, even with our local unemployment agency, where you go in and register and do all the stuff. Because one of the things that we're trying to do, coach, as we speak, to me, coaching is teaching. So we're going to have our young men do a learning style survey. And when they do the learning style survey, I'll be able to better give data on how we need to instruct Quin McCollum. So Quin McCollum might be a visual learner versus an auditory learner. So
Mm-hmm.
it might be really important for me to talk to him while we're in film to say, hey, that, and some of our kids may be tactile learners where they learn with hands on, but I believe in those three learning modalities, man, and making sure that our student athletes understand that, and regardless of the sport, and getting back to the recruiting piece, I forgot to mention this on when we were talking about it, coach. One of the things that we stress to the parents is like, you be the manager and the agent of the social media content, because if you're not, our student athletes will sneak something on there in a heartbeat, and it could be detrimental to their future with that particular school.
It will destroy them.
Yeah,
It would. They don't understand that stuff stays forever. What's the
yeah,
story? I can't think of the name of the athlete, but I went to one of these high school. The NFL puts it on every year, and
mm-hmm.
they get two or three coaches from the state to go to that thing.
Yes, sir.
And Troy Vincent, who works in the I think his first name is Troy.
Mm.
He works in NFL office and everything. And he
Yes, sir.
said Twitter cost a rookie millions of dollars. And what they did was that they pulled all his Twitter stuff up, and he was calling the young ladies out of their names and doing all this
Yeah.
and everything. And these guys don't understand that stuff follows you, and these guys are making an investment in you.
Coach, and I don't mean to
Investment.
cut
Are
you
we
off.
going to invest our money in that?
Yeah, coach, and I don't mean to cut you off, but one of the things that um, I was able to see as a first time college graduate was well, graduating from undergrad, came back home one summer, and teammate of mine from high school named Anthony Cook that played in high school, played in the NFL, 17, 18-year vet. Man, Coach Sharpie literally came in his office, and there was a letter from the NFL, and he said, "Guys, this is the importance of doing the right thing when you are, excuse me, in high school." And he was like, "That's a letter from the NFL, and it's in reference to Anthony Cook." And I was blown, I was like, wow, but then like you said, you start thinking about it in terms of investment, and
Mhm.
they're gonna put their money where their mouth is. They want to make sure that they get all the opportunities, well, make sure that they aren't making a bad investment, and they want you to get all the opportunities that are available to you. So it makes
Exactly.
sense. And even down to like some of the colleges, I was telling our guys, I said, man, be very, very careful about how you word things. Be careful about how you do things, because they're always watching. And I was like, please don't be the example that they talk about in a negative way. Be the example of how we want to conduct the press conference,
Mhm.
after you sign. So yeah, those things matter.
Yeah, we always just take those kids through a speaking class at the school and
Yeah.
role play. Let's what's that thing they used to say a long time ago? Uh, you know, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Coach, the introductions are unbelievable. Like, I can't say what school I was at, but coach, at this particular time, one of the top colleges in the nation came to a particular school I was at, and they didn't send out a GA, they didn't send out an assistant, they sent out a coordinator.
Uh-huh.
And coach, he comes in, he's dressed to the nine with the khakis on, and the nice shoes, and the nice crisp pullover, and the bowl rings all on his finger. And he's like, Coach, I want to talk to this guy. And I'm like, I'm sweating bullets, because I'm like, we've gone over everything. We've gone over everything. We've gone over everything. And coach, he comes up, and the guy gets ready to shakes the kid hand, and the kid's like, "What's up, man?" And then
Yeah.
the college coach looks at it, he's like, "Man, I'm just playing. How you doing?" He shook his hand, and coach, I almost fainted. I was just like, "Okay, all right." So the college coach laughed, but he was like, "Yeah, coach, I was paying attention." He was like, "I just want to make sure he remembered who I was." And I was like,
Uh-huh.
"Okay, I get it. I get it. I get it." But yeah, we have to talk to them about conducting interviews, and making sure they say the right things, and making sure we prepare them, because it could be somebody just in the street, and not just a college recruiter. It may be somebody from the neighborhood, and you don't want to come across as being rude, disrespectful, or being a jerk. You want to
Exactly.
make sure that, yeah, you want to make sure that you're representing not only you, your family, but us as well.
You never know who you're talking to. What you
Exactly,
may see
exactly,
may not be what it is that you're looking at.
exactly,
All right,
exactly.
man,
Yeah,
Quinn. Well, boy, we burned up a whole hour, man.
yeah, for real, coach, for real,
Yeah.
man. But hey, coach, man, like I told you at the beginning of the broadcast, thank you for what you do, man, and continue to do for us here in South Carolina with football, and making sure that, all of us are on the straight and narrow, along with encouraging us, or even offering, like I said, that nice general reminder or advice that we need every so often, man. So, coach, I really appreciate you, and I thank you for having this show, man, because, just watching some of the guys and the quality of the guys that you interview, man, it's a phenomenal thing, and I'm happy to be able to support you.
I appreciate that. But before I let you go, I got two more questions to ask you.
Oh, coach, man.
All right. And everybody get this question. So, if you had an hour to spend with two individuals, one being a coach, the other one being a non-coach, and you have 1 hour each to spend with those two person, who would those two people be and why?
Coach, the very first guy And I think you asked that to the coach from Newberry. When you asked that, it sent me into a tizzy, coach, because I was trying to think of who I would talk to. But the very first guy that I would talk to that would be a coach would be Eddie Robinson at Grambling.
Why?
And coach, the reason being is he did it all. Coach. I kept reading excerpts on, what he had to do to get the program up and running to maintain it. Coach, they talked like he did everything except plant the grass on the field. And I think in some instances he probably did. He did the taping, he did the cooking, he got the boilers going in the morning. Coach, I just thought it was phenomenal. And man, to build that program up to a level of prominence, Coach, I think it was one of those things that I think I don't think it's celebrated enough or remembered enough or even relished enough, man. That guy's, he was history, man. And I have a picture of him up in my classroom right now, man. Just a little small piece, man. But yeah, he's definitely the guy that I would talk to as far as coaching goes. Coach, as far as non-coach, man, the list could go on and on and on. But I'm a fan of history and politics. But one of the guys that I gained an affection for, man, years ago reading was a guy by the name of Vernon Jordan. He was a political advisor to the presidents. He did some great things in politics, and he had a real humble beginning and upbringing, man. But he's one of the guys that I would definitely talk to, and just I would ask questions about how he navigated himself to get there. What were some of his obstacles? How did he navigate those obstacles? And then, how did he feel once he arrived at his position of power?
Fantastic. Okay. I just wanted to get you at the first time I heard Vernon Jordan. And
Yeah.
he was doing my era. Great
Yeah,
man. Great man. Well, that brings us to a conclusion and everything. And man, the pleasure was all mine.
Coach,
Okay.
hey, man, thanks for having me.
Yeah, and I wish you all the best. I know you're gonna get it done. You're gonna get it done, and I'll be looking at you from afar.
Coach, I appreciate it. Well, Coach, I appreciate it. And once again, man, thank you for all you do.
Okay, man.
All right.
All right, guys. That's concludes our 3 podcasts for today. Gosh, we had some good ones. You may before you sign off. This is you're the second coach tonight that has mentioned Reed Chompy.
Wow.
Brian Smith now Rich Spring Manetta.
Yeah.
He played for Reed Chompy at Midland Valley.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah,
man, small world, man.
Yeah, and I knew Reed I've known Reed for years down in the Charleston area. So when he was at James Island.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, so you will appreciate that. I know his ears are burning right now.
yeah, man. That's my guy, man. That is my guy.
Okay, when you talk to him again, tell him I say hello, okay?
I'll do that, Coach. I'll definitely do that.
Okay, guys. Well, we're gonna be gone. We got 3. Don't forget about Wednesday night. We got our coordinators. I still haven't know what to call, but we're gonna be interviewing the offensive coordinator this Wednesday, and just to see, because coordinators are very important to the head coach, and we just want to see how those guys think. And we got 3 more prominent coaches next week. I hate to call coach prominent, but we got some good ones next week. So check your page, your Facebook page. They'll be out. Check mine. Check Run the Hammer page, and those will be up tomorrow. So have a good night, and Quinn, again, thank you a bunch, man. I appreciate you. And everybody have a good night. Everybody have a good night. Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night.